Hello pilot, today I have the pleasure of introducing a new mission that will be added soon. It's called Touch and Win. It's a precision landing competition. Pilots pay an entry fee in packs and compete to achieve the highest possible score for the landing phase. The prize pool is then distributed to the top 10 finishers at the end of the competition, according to the official SimFly final ranking. The total prize pool consists of the sum of all entry fees paid by the participants. A percentage, which will be specified for each mission, is retained by SimFly and removed from the market through burning. This is done to continually increase the value of the packs you earn from your flights. The remainder, in fact, constitutes the prize pool. The prize pool will then be distributed to the winner according to the percentages established by the rules. The Touch and Win mission is located after the airplane rental mission. The only requirement is to have a pilot's license. By selecting it, you can see the list of available Touch and Win missions. In this case, we have Luxembourg in green, Monaco in green, and Dublin in red, because it has not started yet. Luxembourg will end in 33 hours, while Dublin will start in 9 hours. At the beginning, you will see the entry fee, in this case 10 packs for Luxembourg and 5 for Monaco. It is available only for the airplane, for example, C-172. And it requires departure from EDKIX to arrive at ELLX. The route between the two airports is up to you, but the departure and arrival points are mandatory. As for the landing airport, the runway or the 2 runways authorized for the competition are always specified. Landing outside the runway or runways designated by the competition results in a heavy penalty. There is also the possibility for some Touch and Win events to take off from an airport of your choice. But in this case, you must obviously land at Monaco Airport. In this case, a minimum straight line distance of 400 miles is required from the departure airport. An automatic system will allow you to check before the start of the mission that you are at least this distance away. The Live Pool E collects all payments made up to this point, such as entry fees from the pilots. In this case, it is 500 packs. By selecting the specific mission, I will have all the additional information. The available runway or runways, the type of aircraft, and the entry fee will be repeated. And in this case, the live amount will also be shown live. As you can see, 20% is indicated by SimFly and will be removed from the market and burned. On the right, the leaderboard appears, also showing the percentages depending on the scores obtained. The highest score is at the top of the leaderboard, followed by the other players' scores. You can participate in Touch and Win multiple times and achieve different scores, as in this case. This user has participated several times. The percentages will be distributed as follows: 30% to first place, then 20%, 15%, 10%, 7%, 5%, 4%, 3%, 3%, and 3% down to the 10th position. At this moment, the prize awarded to this player is highlighted in yellow. In this case, they would earn 120 packs. Obviously, during the competition, the number may increase depending on new registrations from new pilots. We then have a brief summary regarding the landing rate achieved and the various scores related to the different sections. When it comes to the detailed scoring system, we carefully assign specific points for the overall landing rate, which includes the first number, the vertical G-force, and the precise touchdown point. We also take into account possible win bonuses, any possible bounce penalties, and a variety of other potential penalties that might occur during the process. This gives us a final total score, which is what determines the ranking. We said that the only requirement is the license. In this case, the system already finds me on board my Cessna at Echo Delta Kilo X-ray, and so I am ready to select the license, which is located at this station. Obviously, as with the other missions, I need the license to be at the departure airport. By selecting it, I can then also choose my Cessna C-72 aircraft, which is at the departure airport, if it is available. I can also easily start the flight right away without renting an aircraft, but I also have the option, using this button, to see if there are any Cessnas. Charlie 172S at the departure airport, in this case Echo Delta Kilo X-ray. There are 2 aircraft belonging to 2 different people besides myself, and I can select an aircraft provided it is available for rental and confirm it. In this case, the owner of the aircraft will also benefit from the flight bonuses. All flights, in fact, will still be regularly analyzed by SimFly as always, and PAX and XP points will be assigned depending on the flight performed. The Touch and Win is an additional prize reserved for the precision of the landing competition. Once the minimum required fields have been completed, to participate in the Touch and Win, you need to press the participation button. As you can see, we have another summary of the characteristics of this landing. And the available balance in PAX and the cost of this registration are indicated. By accepting this box for terms and conditions, I can confirm and start the flight. As you can see, there are some additional instructions. The most important is that all pilots must remember that the autopilot cannot be used below 2,000 feet above ground. If this rule is not followed, it will result in point penalties. Therefore, it is the pilot's responsibility to check the current ground altitude and deactivate it before reaching 2,000 feet. Once you have finished reading the features of the selected Touch and Win, simply confirm and start your flight. At the end of the flight, after a full stop landing and shutting down the engines, just press End Flight as you would for any other regular SimFly flight. And you will be taken to the classic flight report with the addition of information regarding the Touch and Win. Once the flight is over, the pilot will see the details of their own flight report. However, by selecting the various rows, you can also view the details of the other pilots, regardless of the type of landing they performed. In this case, I want to select the first one. You can see that the flight report has the same features and assigns PAX and XP, just like other regular flights. Additionally, we have the participation badge for the competition. And below, the classic landing details we're used to. We will have the new Touch and Win section of the details. In this case, we will see the aircraft used, the landing weight of the aircraft, which in this case is still not available. Because we are finishing up the test, the landing rate achieved, and the G-force. Every single crosswind component that affects the wind bonus, the occurrence of any bounces during the descent, the specific runway that was designated and selected for landing, and the precise geographical coordinates and measurements of the exact point where the landing gear first touched down on the runway. Before we look at these other details specifically, which then contribute to the final score, let's see what criteria SimFly uses. In this specific case, we have the two runways, 06 and 24 at Luxembourg-Findel Airport, considering the exact point where the SimFly system specifically requires you to touch down. It is consistently positioned, right in the very middle of the two primary white bars that clearly identify the landing runway, situated exactly on the central center line. I simulated a landing point detected in this position to see what the components are. We have a first component, which is the distance from the touchdown point at landing, but this is not calculated for the scores. It is only shown to the pilot as informational data. And then we have the distance broken down into two vectors. One is the vertical distance to the touchdown point, so up to here, which can be either before or after the touchdown point. And the other is the lateral component, meaning the lateral distance from the center line. Additionally, SimFly will check the maximum lateral distance throughout the entire stopping run up to a speed of 30 knots. After that, the pilot can safely vacate the runway. In this case, if I were to touch down here and veer even further to the left, at the maximum point I reach in distance from the center line, whether it's to the right or to the left, the score will be calculated. Returning to the score report, we will have the diagonal distance. In this case, it's still 0 because we are finishing some tests, and the lateral distance from the center line. In feet and meters, the vertical distance from the two white bars on the runway in feet and meters, and the maximum lateral distance during the stopping run. As you can see, I touched down at 5 feet and then moved further, by 2.1 feet to the left before returning toward the center line. Each of these three values, so as we said, the diagonal distance is purely indicative. For the pilot, it generates a score with 4 decimal places. The sum of this score, 159, in this case, is then shown in the diagram on the right under the touch section. This 159 will then have a weight of 45% to generate another score, specifically 45% of 159, which is 71. Still at 45%, we analyze the landing rate, in this case at 94 feet per minute, to assign it another value, namely 96, and then bring it back to 43 as a balanced weight. The G-force affects 10%, and in this case gives me 9.9 points. The crosswind in this case didn't give me any bonus, I didn't have any bounces, so I have no penalties and no other penalties. Other penalties are still indicated in this section. In case there are any, such as, for example, keeping the autopilot on below 2,000 feet. In this case, the final score for my competition is 124.9973. This is the score that also appears in the final ranking. At the start of the competition, of course, there won't be 10 winners because there will be fewer than 10 participants. In this case, however, in the live ranking, the shares of the unassigned positions are still redistributed proportionally among the valid winners. So regardless, the total prize pool of 510, in this case minus 20%, will always be distributed, even if there is only one player, and then gradually among the players as their number increases during the competition. All competitions in any case will be available for consultation in the news section once they are over. Touch and win events where you can view ongoing and upcoming competitions or past competitions. Just select the relevant details box to see the partial ranking if the competition is still active or the final ranking when the competition ends. All flights deemed valid will in any case be indicated in the rankings. I'm sure that this new mission Touch and Win will bring a lot of adrenaline. I have to tell you that I tried it during the testing phase, and even without a real prize pool, when I disengaged the autopilot and started to see the runway ahead of me, I have to say the adrenaline in the cockpit really went up. This is a product that only SimFly has conceived and created. It's definitely a way to make the fun we already have with our favorite simulator even greater. I'm sure it will be a challenge both with yourself and with other players, and I hope you have a great time. As always with SimFly, we have many other new features that we're already developing in the background which you don't know about yet. SimFly never stops. He keeps on developing new products, always something new to make sure your flight remains unforgettable with your favorite simulator together with SimFly.